All right, guys, some news out of Oregon, okay, as the rapid response team, which is a part of the police department in Portland, Oregon, has decided to resign. Yes, that's right. The whole squad has resigned, okay, and this comes amidst a spike in crime, right, and shootings and murders and all types of violence and chaos that's going on in that city. Now, all last year, the liberal media ignored it. They said, no, it doesn't exist. Antifa's made up. It's just an idea, even though it was clear that these anarchists were running the city. I mean, they even allegedly tried to kill an Asian man, an Asian journalist, Andy Ngo. But I didn't hear anything about anti-Asian hate crimes. Okay, I didn't hear anything about anti-Asian violence when they came out to him. I guess it's acceptable when it happens from the left, okay? And they still continue to have riots and to protest over so-called social justice to this very same day, okay? They're still having this stuff go on, right? But yet again, the liberal media continues to ignore it, right? This is a failure of a city that is falling apart, right? That there's no law and order. And it's happening right in front of our very eyes, and the media is saying absolutely nothing, okay? So those who are in the city keep law and order to keep people safe, aren't getting backing from the media, and apparently now they're not even getting backing from the criminal justice system. As again, these officers have resigned because an officer was charged with assault on a rioter during a riot last year, and because of that, they see that as, well, you know what, you guys are not supporting us, and you know what, we're just gonna quit. Right, we're gonna quit this unit because basically it's a liability at this point. So I really don't blame them. But let's go ahead and watch some news coverage of what's going on in Portland. Take a look.
Among the people we're hearing from tonight is Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler. He says despite these more than 4 dozen resignations, Portland is still a very safe place. In fact, he spoke to the governor, and we understand that the Oregon State Police will be assisting with any unruly mass gatherings, should there be any. In the meantime, while acknowledging the mental toll that the last year has taken on rapid response team members and their families, the mayor says that reforming our community safety system remains a top priority.
This is the Portland Police Bureau.
Calling it quits, approximately 50 Portland police officers, detectives, and sergeants stepped down from their roles on the Bureau's rapid response team. Those are the men and women in blue who handle crowd control, like those nightly demonstrations we saw throughout much of last summer.
Have I ever seen anything like this in my career? No. I don't think any of us have.
Deputy Chief Chris Davis is acting as chief this week with Chuck Lavelle out of town. Davis says Portlanders do not need to worry about safety in the Rose City.
As your police bureau, we are committed to providing the community the best service that we can. And this does not mean that there will be no response in public order situations. We'll use the resources that we have.
Those resources, Davis says, may very well include the team of officers, detectives, and sergeants who stepped away from their voluntary assignments on the rapid response team, but not the force altogether.
And we can give orders to our officers, and they have made it very clear to us that they will follow any lawful order that they are given.
Wednesday's vote comes just one day after rapid response team member Corey Budworth was indicted for assault against a protester. This is video of the incident in August of last year.
Nobody's above the law. It applies to everybody, and that's what this process is for.
That was Multnomah County DA Mike Schmidt speaking Tuesday after the indictment was handed down. Schmidt declined to speak on camera about the mass resignations Thursday, but said in a statement, management and staffing of the rapid response team falls within the purview of the leadership of the Portland Police Bureau. I have confidence that the Bureau will continue their mission to maintain public safety. He added, we cannot expect the community to trust law enforcement if we hold ourselves to a lower standard. Schmidt's words hint at some possible friction between his office and the police bureau, to which Chris Davis said this.
There are always going to be friction points in those relationships. That's just normal. But one good thing that we do have in Portland and in Multnomah County is we have good relationships with those partners. And when things like this happen, we are able to sit down with one another and work through this kind of problem.
Also weighing in tonight is City Commissioner Joanne Hardesty. She's calling on City Council to formally disband the rapid response team. She says these resignations are yet another example of a rogue paramilitary organization not accountable to city leaders or Portland residents. And someone saying something very similar is the attorney representing the young woman who was allegedly assaulted by Officer Budworth. Juan Chavez says the mass resignations demonstrate the contempt its members feel for even the possibility that one of their colleagues is held accountable for his actions. Portland police officers, Chavez says, need to understand that they are not above the law.
As you can see there, I mean, listen, all the stuff going on in Portland, these officers are saying, listen, man, like, we have to deal with these riots. We have to deal with these crazy people in the street. We have to deal with increased crime, increased murder, increased shootings, all this stuff going on, okay? And in reference to the officer who hit the photographer in the head, okay, this is what they're saying. Jacobs, an activist and photographer, fell to the ground. Cell phone video showing Budworth striking Jacobs in the head from behind quickly circulating on social media. But the union said the blow to the head was an accident on the officer's part and he used the lowest level of baton force. Quote, reasonably believing that she was getting back up to re-engage in her unlawful activities, Officer Budworth employed one last baton push to try and keep her on the ground, which accidentally struck Miss Jacobs in the head, the union said. The location of Officer Budworth's last baton push was accidental, not criminal. He faced a violent and chaotic, rapidly evolving situation, and he used the lowest level of baton force, a push, not a strike or a jab, to remove Miss Jacobs from the area. Okay, so that is what they're saying in regards to the so-called strike. They're saying, listen, no, it was an accident. It was trying to keep her on the ground, push her on the ground with the baton, okay, and it accidentally hit her in the head because she was trying to get up. Happens, right? Happens. Is that assault? Hey, it's up to you to determine, right? Maybe it's political. But let's read a little bit more here, because I think this article from the Post Millennial kind of sums it up very nicely. The Rapid Response Team, a unit within the Portland Police Department, voted unanimously to resign on Wednesday during a meeting with the police union. This follows the criminal indictment of an officer for assault stemming from a riot in August 2020. Sources within the police bureau told the Post Millennial. Officer Corey Budworth was on the Rapid Response Team, a group police officers that volunteer for the post and are deployed to respond to riots, civil unrest, and demonstrations in Portland. Budworth was indicted and charged with one count of 4th-degree assault, a misdemeanor by Matamot District Attorney Mike Schmidt's office on Tuesday. On the night of August 18, 2020, Antifa militants threw a Molotov cocktail into the county sheriff's department headquarters as the Rapid Response Team struggled to contain the riot. So you got to understand the whole context of what these officers are dealing with. Okay, they're dealing with people throwing Molotov cocktails into the sheriff department's headquarters. These are the people that you're dealing with. You're not dealing with snowflakes and angels, right? You're dealing with people that are trying to actively cause harm and destruction. Okay, this is what you're dealing with. In a statement released after the indictment, Smith said, quote, in this case, we allege that no legal justification existed for Officer Budworth's deployment of force and that the deployment of force was legally excessive under the circumstances. Quote, my office will continue to do everything we can to ensure justice is done without error or delay and that we make sure our work and practices are rooted in fairness and equality, Smith said. Budworth is accused of hitting activist, photographer, and rioter Terry Jacobs with a baton. Videos posted on social media show Budworth hitting Jacobs in the head from behind, then again as she falls to the ground. OBP reports a video of the incident circulated on social media. Unfortunately, this decorated public servant has been caught in the crossfire of agenda-driven city leaders and politicized criminal justice system, the police union wrote in a statement describing Jacobs as a criminal rioter. Budworth's incident is a blatant attempt to hold police accountable. A source within the Portland Police Bureau told the Post Millennial, stating that no victim came forward. Instead, they claimed that an attorney saw the video and approached Jacobs about pressing charges against the officer. Okay, so apparently, for the person that got hit, they're not the ones that actually came forward to press charges. There was an attorney, probably an activist, who saw this and was like, oh, this is a chance to make some money, right? This is a chance to make a political statement. And that's what happened, okay? So let's read a little bit more here. Quote, so what typically happens is the riot team gets called out to be prepared for a huge protest. Then patrol officers from all 3 precincts are on standby, which gets activated when the protests start. This means all patrol calls go to priority calls only. Basically, only active assault, shooting, and person crimes only get responded to. All other calls are on hold indefinitely until the protest is over or the next day, sources told the Post Millennial. Quote, now that the riot team is no more, we have no clue what's going to happen. We don't have enough patrol officers to be pulled from the road to handle huge crowds, a Portland police officer said. We are only backups with no gear like the riot team has. This is ahead of massive demonstrations and protests that are planned for this upcoming weekend. Portland Police Association Executive Director Daryl Turner expressed concerns to the Lars Lawson Show on Wednesday after the indictment, fearing officers would quit after the Tuesday prosecution of Officer Budworth, in which it was described as a witch hunt. In October, County District Attorney Mike Schmidt rejected over 540 riot-related cases in interest of justice and has implemented catch and release policies for accused criminals and rioters. Ding, 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 ding. That basically sums up the whole problem here. Okay? So they're charging this officer with assault. Okay? And the victim isn't even the person that stepped forward with this. Okay? They're charging him with assault. But yet, the criminals and rioters, the people who should not be doing this in the first place, right? None of that George Floyd stuff, none of that stuff even happened in Portland. I don't understand. You live on the liberal West Coast. I don't understand what they really want, right? But regardless, they decide, hey, we're not going to charge these protesters and rioters for being out here in the street and destroying the community, okay? We're just going to ignore all that, okay? And we also, if we do happen to catch them, we just going to release them, right? We're not even going to lock them up. Just let them go back out there. So essentially what you're doing is you're giving these people motivation to keep doing this. You're giving them motivation to keep rioting and destroying the city. And if I'm a police officer, if I see that, okay, one of my own officers are getting in trouble for dealing with these criminals, but yet these criminals are not getting in trouble, why the hell would I want to do the job? Why would I want to do the job? There's no reason why you want to do it. That's a liability at this point. So it's no wonder, it's no surprise that all these officers resigned. Okay, I would too. I'd be like, bro, I'm out. This is a liability, you know? And at this point, again, you see these liberal cities moving in this direction. And what that tells me is that probably in the future, I wouldn't be surprised to see this happen in more cities across the country where you're going to have police officers say, you know what, we're done. We can't deal with this. You know, all this demonization, right? It's one thing if they were charging these people, these rioters, these people that's committing violence, if they was charging them, right, and actually punishing them for it and getting them off the streets, and then they charge the officer for assault, that's one thing, right? That's one thing I'm like, okay, I kind of get it. But to not be charging people in the street, the people that are actually causing the problems, the reason why the officers need to be there in the first place, but then to turn around and charge a police officer with assault, that to me is ridiculous. That's crazy, right? Hey, man, like I said, this is some crazy stuff going on in Oregon. We'll see what happens moving forward here. This may give these rioters and protesters more free reign to go out there and to go harder, knowing that, hey, there's really not going to be any resistance anymore because everybody that was on the team that's supposed to be the resistance, that's supposed to maintain law and order, they quit. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.